How are you all doing? Great to see you all in. And it seems that it is my buddy Ben's birthday today. So a very happy birthday to you, Ben Coombs. Don't forget to check out his live show tonight. Let's see who else we've got in. Richie Johnson, The Dreamer's Life, Lucas, DV Music, Doug Santinello, hey, Sean Hockey, Ben Coombs, obviously, Ian's Guitar Shack, Dennis, hey Dennis, Grumpy Mike, Marcy, Jans, Tall Thin Kev, Marky Effects, Bam Mosley, Jake Lee Guitar, wow, The Lamb, James Mears, and Gear View Mirror. I love that. That is really cool. Okie dokie. Sandra, hope you're well. Nigel is delighted you're in. Pete Brown, Frank Archill, Grandpa Joe. Yeah, everyone's saying happy birthday to Ben Coombs. Awesome. So tonight we are checking out another amazing guitar player. I kind of decided that it would be fun to sort of do all of my favorite guitar players while I still can. So Ben, are you having a live birthday show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard tonight? Another year older and certainly not wiser. I love it. There we go. Hey Casey, hey Daz, great to see you. Unlike No Spark, great to see you too. Everyone's saying happy birthday to my buddy Ben. Yes, live birthday show with several of our friends. Wow. Oh man, I feel like staying up and coming on with you. So tonight we are doing a tribute to Randy Rhoads. Yeah, the Randy Rhoads. Another absolutely amazing guitarist. There we go. Bam Mosley saying that Randy was a great guitarist. Another lost far too soon. You're absolutely right. Yeah, Ben, you got cake? Love it. Right, because we have so much content tonight, I'm going to start off with a little background on Randy.
Most dominating and influential heavy metal guitarist of the 80s would have to be Eddie Van Halen. Ozzy Osbourne's original guitarist, Randy Rhoads, was one of the few guitarists of the era to create his own signature style. While just about every other guitarist was merely copying Van Halen's unorthodox two-hand tapping technique, Rhoads was one of the first heavy metal guitarists to incorporate classical music into his playing, later picked up by such six-string shredders as Yngwie Malmsteen. Although he only issued a pair of major label albums during his lifetime, he immediately reached legendary status upon his tragic death in early 1982. Rhoads was born on December 6, 1956, in Santa Monica, CA. Rhoads came from a musical family. His mother was a school music teacher and began playing guitar before he even reached the age of 10. By his teenage years, Rhoads had become interested in the hard rock sounds of Mountain, Led Zeppelin, and Alice Cooper, and as his musical taste changed, so had his guitar style. After playing in several school bands, Rhoads hooked up with singer Kevin DuBrow and formed Quiet Riot. Along with Van Halen, Quiet Riot became a major draw on the LA club circuit, even though new wave and punk were the most dominating musical styles on the Sunset Strip. While the band wasn't able to secure a US record deal, they released 2 albums in Japan, 1977's Quiet Riot and 1978's Quiet Riot 2. Frustrated that the band wasn't getting anywhere in their homeland, Rhoads tried out for the guitar position in ex-Black Sabbath singer Ozzy Osbourne's solo band. Rumor has it that Rhoads was hired before he even played a note because he looked the part. Osbourne's first solo release, 1980's Blizzard of Oz, has become one of hard rock, heavy metal's greatest releases of all time, largely due in part to Rhoads' fiery playing. Such tracks as I Don't Know, Crazy Train, Suicide Solution, and Mr. Crowley have become metal standards and all showcased Rhoads' talents. Also of note was a brief classical acoustic guitar piece he penned for his mother, Dee. The album was a surprise hit as the new band toured, resulting in another album a year later, Diary of a Madman. Although Rhoads voiced dissatisfaction with his playing on the album in interviews at the time, they were rushed to meet a deadline. His six-string work was astounding, especially on such tracks as Over the Mountain, Flying High Again, Little Dolls, and the title track. Rhoads was finally getting his due as a guitarist. He just won the Best New Guitarist award from Guitar Player magazine, when he was killed in a freak airplane accident while on tour in Florida on the morning of March 19, 1982. As with other talented musicians who died far too early, Rhoads' stature in the hard rock world reached mythic proportions. A Rhoads Osbourne live album, tribute that was originally to be issued in 1982 was shelved until 1987. The album was an automatic top 10 hit, as it proved once and for all the incredible skill and endless potential that the young guitar player possessed. Jackson Guitars also started issuing a line of Randy Rhoads model guitars, based on a prototype that was finished just prior to his death. And 11 years after his passing, a Rhoads-era compilation was issued by his former band, Quiet Riot, entitled The Randy Rhoads Years. Rhoads' death remains one of rock's all-time greatest tragedies.
So there we go, just a little bit of an introduction tonight to Randy. By the way, if my speech sounds funny tonight, it's got nothing to do with my condition. I've got an ulcer on the side of my tongue. A nasty one where I bit myself. So, yeah, it's not to do with the condition tonight. It's just I've got a very, very sore tongue. Yeah, I haven't really gone into the negativity of Sharon Osbourne tonight. Wow, you wore out the tribute album. Awesome. Yeah, I think most of us wanted a Les Paul like Randy's. Even my cheaper Jackson Rhodes guitar is really great. And I'm pleased to see that people are accidentally spelling his name wrong. I got it wrong. I put an ES, and it actually is Rhoads. There we go. I've always thought Randy was way ahead of his time. You are so right, Dennis. You are so right. Hey, Scott Guitars. Great to see you. Yeah, ulcers do suck. I've got a nasty one there. Yeah, a real big one there, which is really killing me. But there we go. I listened to that album every day, loved it, and still listen to it to this day. I think I did see RJ Ronquillo in. Great to see you, brother. Not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but great to see you in. Yeah, ouch, indeed, indeed. Let me see. Okie dokie. Hey, RJ, great to see you, brother. Are you going to Gear Street this year? I really, really hope you are, man, because it would be so great to see you again. Let me know if you are. That would be so cool. Hey, Phil James, great to see you. Get the Bonjela out. Do you know what? I've never actually managed to get Bonjela to work. I used to use it all the time. I've always had mouth ulcers, but never on my tongue. It's horrible. I actually use salt water, and it kind of works. Hey, Aaron, great to see you. Love you too, brother. Plus, a huge happy birthday to Ben. I've got the twins, so I'm in and out. That's okay, man. Oh, brother, that's a shame. Really gutted you won't be attending any functions this year. Well, bro, I really hope we get to catch up again soon. I absolutely adore your playing, and what's more, you are a lovely, lovely guy. One of my real good friends. So I can't wait to see you again, brother. Let me see, what am I missing? When is Gear Street happening? We're flying out on the 17th of August, and I'm flying home on the 21st. Yeah, I did. I threatened to join you tonight, but with my ulcer, I think maybe I might watch if I can. I am awake a lot at around, well, midnight, 2 in the morning. So I did chip in the other week. Yeah, I think I answered that one. I was just typing to use the water. There you go. I do. It's about the only thing that kind of works. Oh, thank you, Marcy. That's very kind. Hope your tongue heals fast. However, in the meantime, it sounds like you've enjoyed some adult beverages. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, okie dokie. Let me dive into our second video because we've got so many to get through tonight. Let me tell you what I've got coming up. We can have new Randy Rhoads book, new Randy Rhoads documentary, remembering the life and death of Randy Rhoads, the story of Blizzard of Oz, or you can check out a purple Schecter guitar from Gear Street. I will wait and see what you guys want to see next. Okie dokie. Hey, Papa Blue, great to see you, brother. So let me know and you will get it. Let's have a look. Oh, Aaron, he says, purple. Wow. Okay. Well, I will go for it as you got in first. This is an amazing purple guitar that I got to play, a Schecter at Gear Street. Hey guys, and welcome back to 42 Gear Street 3. Yes, it's the third one. And I've got this absolutely beautiful Schecter Telecaster in my favourite colour. It's actually a pink to purple burst, and I love purple. It's a string through, as you can probably see from the back. There we go, there's the ferrules. And it has a standard three-way selector with 2 humbuckers. And it's also got a push-pull on the tone pot. And that little label there tells you it's a push-pull. So what we're going to do today, we're going to check this guitar out. I'm going to do a little bit of a demo of it for you, and then I'll let you know what it's like to play at the end of the video. As always, I do the demo with a very mediocre average guitar player demo, and you guys do the review. We're going to start off by looking at the specs. Obviously this is a 2 humbucker guitar. These humbuckers are really, really strong. I love the feel of this. It's got a beautiful back as well. I'm not sure that that's showing as well as maybe it could, but I think you can see it's got a purple back. The neck looks very much like a slightly roasted maple neck. It's got locking tuners, and the string trees on the front are black as well, which give it that kind of real super guitar type feel. I love the size and the transfer of tone on this block, because if you look at that, these are very, very heavy steel blocks, and it's a really sturdy big steel plate surrounding that bridge pickup. Fingerboard material looks like ebony or ebonol or something like that, and of course, because it's got a separate fingerboard, no skunk stripe. This is a really, really pretty guitar. I know it's going to be another Marmite guitar for most people, but because I love purple guitars, I really love it. play. This is really nice. It's got quite a thick neck, but the nicest thing is this neck is so smooth. The fret ends are beautifully polished and rounded, almost to the point where when you're playing from a playing position you honestly can't feel them. But also because the neck is super satin smooth, as you can see, it's a really fast neck. I love a satin finish on neck. There's nothing really to shout about when it comes to the radius. It's just a C-shaped radius, and it's not super chunky, but it's enough to get hold of. It certainly feels like it's a tapered neck, but I'm not absolutely sure of that either. It just feels a little thinner at the headstock end than it does at the body end, but it's really nice to play. It's like a normal telly. It's not got a cutaway at the back, so access up to the top frets is somewhat restricted, but you can still get up there and play it. So I really enjoy playing this because the pickups in this sound really meaty, particularly on the lead tones. I'll pop all the links for this guitar in the description and Schecter guitars in general, because I didn't find a spec sheet for this, so I can't tell you what pickups these have got in it, but they do look like dual slug pickups. If you look at that, you can see they've got two sets of adjustable slugs in them. So I was really pleased with it. Again, very easy to play, a very pretty guitar. It's quite heavy. I'm going to say that this weighs around at least 8.5 pounds. The other thing I will tell you about this guitar is it's got a little bit of neck dive. It is certainly on the strap buttons, it's heavier at the neck end, and that's probably because it's 25.5-inch scale length, which means that this neck is hanging off quite a long way, and also the additional weight of the locking tuners, which are very sturdy and really heavily well built. So that's probably why it's got just a touch, not a lot, but just a touch of neck dive. but it was great fun to play. As always, I just do the demos. You guys do the review in the comments section. I'll be really interested to know what you lot think about this guitar, about how it sounds, about how it looks, and whether or not you would buy it. So let me know, and I look forward to reading your comments. I'll be back with more from Gear Street and of course regular videos just as soon as I can. But until then, you take good care. Okay, there you go. Absolutely loved playing that Schecter. It was a beautiful guitar, really was. Before we dive into the next video, I just need to tell you to check out John Robson's channel today, because he not only has become a patron, and by the way, a huge thank you to Fritsch for becoming a patron this week as well. Really kind. He has used one of my backing tracks tonight, and he has tabbed out the entire solo. So go and check out John Robson's channel after we finish, of course, tonight. Curious what the pickup output is. Do you know, they were very high output sounding. They weren't active though. Yes, I believe they were Schecter branded pickups. You can only get them in black. There we go. It was Marcy that let everyone know you can only get the black ones in lefties. Thanks, Marcy. You're very welcome. Okie dokie. Well, funny enough, I was having a chat with Alchemy Pickups, and he said that it wasn't to do with the resistance of pickups, it's all to do with the width and the size of the wire and how many coils it's got. So yeah, it could well be a 15K, but a 15K and another 15K can actually sound very different. Right, I think, hey Trevor, good to see you. I hope Tyler's well. Right, I did say that I must get on with these videos, and I think the next one, most people were saying, let me see, I think it was Blizzard. Let me go back up here. Blizzard. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I will do, oh my goodness, Jason Wade, that is so very kind of you, brother. Look at that, just hearts, and a beautiful contribution to the channel. Thank you so much, my friend. I must give you one of these before we go into the next video. So incredibly kind of you and very much appreciated. Never courted, but always, always appreciated. Very, very kind. Thank you. Yeah, lots of people saying that was very kind as well. Really, really very kind. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. So I think we are going to dive in to the story of the Blizzard of Oz. Here we go.
Osbourne found Randy Rhoads and made a masterpiece. Ozzy Osbourne reveals how he beat the odds to release the classic Blizzard of Oz album, his first after being fired by Black Sabbath. It's 1979 and Ozzy Osbourne has fallen on hard times. Bullied out of Black Sabbath and holed up at Le Parc Hotel in West Hollywood, he lurks amid the debris of excess, a hopeless, friendless, caged animal, seemingly resigned to his fate as rock's ultimate cautionary tale. I really did think, this is the effing end for me, he admits to Classic Rock, decades later. I'd been booted out. I just got effed up every day for 3 effing months. Never went outside. Never even opened the drapes. Into this scene of squalor and self-pity, enter Sharon Arden, with an industrial-strength dose of tough love. Though only in her late 20s and with a puppy-like devotion to the married Osbourne, she was nonetheless a shit-kicking rock'n'roll authoritarian schooled at the knee of the formidable Don Arden, her dad, and the only person capable of mobilizing the wallowing singer. One more and told me, get your shit together. I'll manage you. Ozzy recalls, with obvious admiration. Once she was in the picture, things got rolling, you know. Sharon absolutely deserves credit for getting that album out of me. Auditions for musicians to work with Ozzy on his first album outside of Sabbath began with a notice on the Board of Mates rehearsal space in L.A. Months passed, until the arrival of Californian guitarist Randy Rhoads gave Ozzy his epiphany, like God entering my life, was how he described it, and the pair left the U.S. for initial writing sessions at Ozzy's family home in Stafford, West Midlands. Randy was one of these guys who, when we had a weekend off, he'd get in the truck with one of the roadies and just go off around England having guitar lessons. The singer recalls of their odd couple dynamic. He probably saw more of England than I ever have. Finding the rest of the lineup would prove more problematic. In her 2005 autobiography, Extreme, Sharon depicts the rhythm section, former Uriah Heep drummer Lee Kerslake and ex-Rainbow bassist Bob Daisley, as talented but unlikable, and their recruitment as a last resort when other players, including Cozy Powell, priced themselves out of contention. The instant I saw the band together, she wrote, I could see the dynamics didn't work, but we were too far down the line. In Sabbath, they'd just write something and say, put a vocal on that, Ozzy recalls. I could get the range in the studio, but with a song like Black Bloody Sabbath, I could never get it on stage. Randy was the first guy in my whole career to make it comfortable for me. When I had the melody in my head for Goodbye to Romance the ballady, Beatla Caged Animal, seemingly resigned to his one, I sang it to him, and he says, let's do it in this key. He was very good at helping me out. The thing that I loved about Randy, he adds, was that everybody was doing that effing finger-tapping shit, but what he'd do was go from that to a bluesy vibe. He was like Eddie Van Halen and then some. He was a phenomenal find. Despite Ozzy's residual, satanic caricature from the Sabbath years, there was light and shade in the Blizzard of Oz material recorded at Ridge Farm Studios in March and April 1980. I like to go in the studio and make an album, he says. For me, if it's just effing headbanging from start to finish, that's not an album, it's just a effing racket. I'm from the old school. In Black Sabbath we'd do jazz and all kinds of styles, it wasn't just effing Iron Man every song. Anything that makes the album better. So when Randy says to me, do you mind if I put this classical instrumental piece, D, on? I said, what are you effing asking me for? It's your album as well. Just go for it, you know? Lyrically, too, the subject matter was eclectic, with Ozzy, or Daisley, depending on who you believe, taking in occult hero Aleister Crowley, pay-per-view hotel porn, Randy used to call them, bone movies, and the controversial Suicide Solution, later to spark a lawsuit from the parents of a Californian teenager who shot himself while listening to it. But if you'd listen to the lyric, it's not about suicide as a solution, Ozzy counters. It's about liquid. It was about Bon Scott, to be honest with you, about drinking yourself to death. I remember being in the dressing room with Bon, and he had this effing great big tumbler of what turned out to be Jack, effing half a pint. A couple of weeks later my sister phoned me and says, you know a guy called Bon Scott? He drank himself to death. But that song turned into a mess, all the effing backbiting. It was crazy. Perhaps it was a little rich of Ozzy to judge anyone else's drinking habits. Although Sharon had made him functional, it's a mistake to cast Blizzard as the sober album. Any band situation I've been in, Ozzy reflects, the first album is always the most fun, because you've got everything to gain and nothing to lose. Recording Blizzard of Oz, there was a wonderful atmosphere. Sharon would come down, we'd all go down the pub, get pissed, come back, have some fun, loads of booze and drugs. It's when effing business starts to get involved that it starts to get shitty. I don't understand the business side of it, still. My wife is the manager. But even to an industry novice, it was clear that business was good. Released in September 1980, Blizzard of Oz swaggered into the UK album chart at number 7 and went platinum during a 2-year run in the US chart. Sweeter still, no doubt, was the schadenfreude of watching the Ronnie James Dio-fronted Sabbath flounder after the strong start of that year's Heaven and Hell album. Just a year after facing the Knackers Yard, Ozzy Osbourne was back at the head of the metal pack. For some, though, Blizzard of Oz left a nasty taste in the mouth. In 1981, Kerslake and Daisley were pushed out. They would later sue Jet Records and Don Arden for non-payment of performance royalties from sales of the chart-straddling album. Lawsuits pinged back and forth. And then in 2002 came the reissue of the record, on which their drum and bass parts had been erased altogether, and replaced respectively by Mike Bordin and Robert Trujillo. Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake have harassed Ozzy and our family for several years, said Sharon. Because of their abusive and unjust behavior, Ozzy wanted to remove them from these recordings. Curiously, the 30th anniversary reissue of Blizzard reinstated the original mix. And Ozzy tells Classic Rock that it's something he welcomes. That was the way it was done, you know, he considers. It's this law shit. The re-recording was done because of these effing never-ending lawsuits that keep effing popping up every effing 3 years. If it starts again, we'll have to change it again, because when somebody puts a lawsuit in, whether it's a ridiculous one or not, I still have to get a lawyer to defend me, you know? I'm glad it's back the way it was. We didn't want to change it in the first place, but it was the only way we could stop the lawsuits, you know? Ultimately, to the man in the pit, the legal small print and ethical chin stroking make little difference to the thrill of what is still a pivotal moment in hard rock. Blizzard of Oz is a victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. And it sounds like it, with Ozzy performing with a backs-to-the-wall fire that he's never quite matched since becoming financially secure. People often say to me, "What's your favorite album?" He muses. Well, I can't say that anyone is my favorite, because it makes everything else get overlooked, so most of the time I say, I haven't made it yet. But I think Blizzard of Oz is a fine piece of work. It's one of my proudest moments and it speaks for itself.
So there we go, the story of Blizzard of Oz, and I found that really interesting. I hope you did too. I have a few more videos for you about Randy, and I really hope that you guys are enjoying it. I got a bit of a slating last week in an email when I did the Jimmy Page tribute last week. But I hope that most of you find the content interesting. I just had a guy that sent me an email saying, "We know it all." Well, if you know it all, you know it all. But a lot of people don't. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Oh, thank you. James says, awesome video. Great detail. Hey, Janice. How are you? Great to see you. Everyone's saying hello to Janice now. There we go. Oh, thank you, Sean. I am so pleased that you like them. That's the thing. I think most of my good friends out there really enjoy these little tidbits that I find during the week for you on the live shows. Hey, Glenn, don't worry about being late, bro. You're here. That's the main thing. Right. Okie dokie. Let me find you the next video. I think we will do remembering the life and the sad death of Randy Rhoads. Here we go.
Remembering the brief, prolific career and reckless death of guitar master Randy Rhoads. On March 19, 1982, a joyride went horribly wrong, and the music world lost one of the most explosive players to ever pick up a guitar, Randy Rhoads. A small prop plane carrying Rhoads, Rachel Youngblood and pilot Andrew Aycock crashed in the morning hours at in Leesburg, Florida, killing all three on impact. The whys of the crash will never truly be known, but the tragic results sadly are, the music world lost one of its most promising rising stars. Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads' bandmate and employer at the time of his death, had always considered the fiery rocker more of a brother. He was devastated by Randy's loss, and that reaction was mirrored by all who knew and loved the soft-spoken Rhoads. From an early age, Randy Rhoads was always more the type of person to let his playing do the talking for him. As a child, he practiced the guitar so long and hard that he worried his mother enough to consult a physician about the possibility that her son's constant playing could cause any permanent damage to his hands. Driven by his twin passions of classical music and the heavier side of rock and roll, which seemed like mutually exclusive styles, Rhoads would pursue his vision of joining the two ends of the spectrum until the day he died. Rhoads formed several bands in his teens, sticking to covers from his heroes like Alice Cooper and the Rolling Stones for the bulk of their material, with a few nascent originals thrown in for good measure. Improving his fretboard skills soon became his primary focus in life, to the detriment of his schooling. Luckily, his passion was recognized early on, and he was admitted to a special program that allowed him to graduate high school early and begin teaching guitar and playing with his band, Quiet Riot, formed in 1973. While singer Kevin DuBrow was great at working the crowd, the main attraction at their shows was always Rhoads. His emerging virtuosity was so entrancing that members of the band would find themselves losing their place in the music because they were awestruck at the skill that would erupt from within him. Quiet Riot quickly became the kings of the Los Angeles rock circuit, playing sold-out shows at the famed Whiskey A Go Go and throughout the rest of LA's club scene. The band's live shows were known for their party atmosphere, and their music was gradually pared down to simple chord progressions to allow for a more anthemic, accessible sound that disappointed their studious guitarist. After signing with CBS Records, Rhoads was unhappily constrained by the band's new sound and did not feel the recording came close to capturing what he could really do. The label was not impressed with Quiet Riot's efforts either, only releasing the band's 2 discs in Japan. Rhoads was frustrated, and when he got the call from a friend letting him know legendary Black Sabbath vocalist Ozzy Osbourne was vetting members for a new band, the prospect was too exciting to ignore. Rhoads auditioned for a very hungover Osbourne in a hotel room, and barely had time to finish warming up with some scales and a few of his fiery riffs before Ozzy hired him on the spot. Rhoads was a bit off-put, thinking, he hasn't even heard me play yet. Ozzy turned out to be a shrewd judge of talent, even with a raging headache. Osbourne's management and the label had wanted to keep the lineup all British, but after Rhoads blew manager Jet Records executives and manager David Arden away with his chops and energy, he easily sealed the deal. During his time in England, he lived with Osbourne and eventual wife Sharon Arden, beginning what would become a deep personal friendship between the three of them. During the recording of the new band's first album, Blizzard of Oz, Rhoads was encouraged by Osbourne to go beyond the simple arrangements he had been limited by in the past. This freedom to explore and innovate allowed Rhoads to freely marry his dexterity and his passion, and the result was amazing to everyone involved. Finally given the opportunity to fuse the expressiveness of rock with the precision and breakneck technicality of classical music, Rhoads found vast, uncharted musical territory to explore. His leads became faster and more open, and his solos took on a level of explosiveness and originality that was miles beyond his previous work. Both Osbourne and the label knew they had a superstar in the making on their hands and were eager to turn him loose on the record and ticket-buying public. After a tour of England, the band returned to the studio to record their follow-up, Diary of a Madman, and set their sights on America. Before their 1982 tour began, Arden fired the band's rhythm section, replacing them with stand-ins for the upcoming dates. This action shook Rhoads, who had enjoyed the chemistry the band had found. It's been said he considered quitting the band himself in protest, though he clearly decided to stick it out. During this period, Rhoads began feeling the pull to further explore the bounds of music, telling friends he was considering leaving rock and roll and pursuing a degree in classical music. It seemed certain that his time with the band would soon come to an end, though no one would be prepared for the tragic way it would all play out. The Diary of a Madman tour was a major success, selling out concert halls and auditoriums across the country. The two albums, both launched with Ozzy's Black Sabbath street cred, were earning more buzz for Rhoads' incredible guitar work than they were for Osbourne. The on-stage chemistry between Osbourne and Rhoads was electric and endearing. Their friendship and their mutual passion to entertain led to unforgettable performances. Ozzy would stalk the stage exhorting the sea of fans, stoking the fires, and Rhoads' guitar playing was like dumping gasoline on the blaze. Word rapidly spread that Rhoads' live playing was a spectacle not to be missed by anyone, fan or player alike. Though social media was yet to exist, there were a plethora of music magazines published at the time, and they all honored Rhoads as a fast-rising star. Guitar Player magazine named him Best New Talent in 1981. The same year Sounds magazine proclaimed him Best Heavy Metal Guitarist. Jackson Guitars worked with him to create a signature model guitar, though he was never able to see it hit stores. He would practice for hours before a show, and hours after, in pursuit of personal perfection. He would be forced to soak his hands to reduce the swelling he regularly dealt with in his hands after his marathon sessions. Rhoads was constantly seeking out classical guitar teachers as the band traveled the country, eager to add to his ever-deepening chops. Seeing his drive led all of his friends and admirers to wonder just how far this talented young man could take his music, with no limit in sight. Though he was thoroughly serious about his playing, Randy Rhoads was also known as a jokester, and it seems as though that playful spirit led to his untimely and gruesome death on this day in 1982. It is impossible to know exactly what occurred inside the cockpit of the 1957 Beechcraft Bonanza prop plane, but the terrible facts are a matter of public record. After a show in Knoxville on March 18, 1982, Osbourne's band had stopped for the night to get some much-needed repairs on the bus the following day. That morning, the band's bus driver and ex-commercial pilot Andrew Aycock spotted the small aircraft and decided to take it for a quick spin. He boarded the unguarded plane with keyboardist Don Airey and tour manager Jake Duncan. After a couple of minutes of circling the area, Aycock landed and asked if anyone else wanted a ride. As the story goes, the night before, Rhoads and Osbourne had argued about Osbourne's partying, warning the singer, "You'll kill yourself, you know?" One of these days. The exchange had angered Ozzy, who drunkenly slipped off to sleep off his prodigious buzz. The next morning, the mischievous Randy Rhoads is said to have suggested that flying the plane past the passed-out singer's window would be a good way to wake him up and punish him ever so slightly for his previous night's transgressions. Randy Rhoads and band seamstress Rachel Youngblood boarded the plane with Andrew Aycock and took to the skies. Shortly after takeoff, Aycock attempted to fly over the tour bus where Osbourne and the rest of the crew were still resting from the long night before. Not satisfied with the first pass, Aycock tried twice more, getting faster and lower with each subsequent pass. On their fourth attempt, flying in excess of 150 miles per hour, the plane's wing clipped the top of the tour bus, sending it spiraling out of control. Striking a tree, the plane's forward momentum dragged it along the ground, scattering pieces before finally careening into the garage of a nearby house. Rhoads and Youngblood were thrown through the windshield before the wreckage exploded in a fireball that curled high into the sky. All three passengers were instantly killed, burned so badly that they had to be identified by dental records and personal effects. The explosion woke the remaining sleepers, including Osbourne, who amazingly did not awaken when the plane actually struck the bus. Sharon was screaming for everyone to clear the bus, and when they did they were confronted with the sight of the smoldering wreckage of the plane. Emergency services were slow to respond, but it was far too late regardless. Autopsies showed that Aycock had cocaine in his system, and Osbourne later testified that he had witnessed Aycock using the drug late into the night before that tragic morning. Rumors persist to this day about Aycock's motivation for buzzing the plane, ranging from harmlessly pranking the band and crew to hard feelings for an ex. In the resulting investigation into the incident, it was learned that Aycock's pilot license had long expired and he was well overdue for a recertification of his skills. No record exists of the conversations inside the plane that morning, but in the end, knowing why this happened would not change the result. Randy Rhoads' death was a loss that the perpetually strung-out Osbourne was ill-equipped to handle. Ozzy has remarked in years since that the death sent him spiraling farther down the path of self-destruction that had caused the argument in the first place. The fans and the music world shared their grief. All the music magazines of the day, from the more serious Rolling Stone to the more personality-driven Cream, ran pieces on his death. Guitar World magazine seemed to feel the loss particularly hard. In an editorial, the magazine's editors lamented his demise, saying he had the potential to be the best that ever was. Any loss of life is a reason for sadness, but in a case, the senselessness of it seems all the more tragic. While we will never know what Randy Rhoads might have done with his talent, what he managed to do while still with us was truly breathtaking. An entire generation of players was inspired by his style. Heavy metal guitarists around the world began focusing on speed and classical influences to make their own music sound more like his. Osbourne still clouds up when Rhoads' name is mentioned, any comment on his lost friend said with an emotionally choked voice. Clearly, for Ozzy, the loss of his little brother is a wound that never fully healed. We may have lost a singular talent that morning in 1982, but thanks to the impact of his playing, the echoes of his innovative body of work became a part of the fabric of heavy metal itself.
Yeah, so I do agree with everything that was said in that little piece there. He was an absolute amazing guitarist. The dedication he had to playing was absolutely amazing as well. Don't we all choke up at the mention? Of course, losing him was really, really sad. Jason says, got to split for now and run to town. Keep those videos coming best you can. I listen while driving to work in the morning. Always learning something new. Thanks. Bless you, brother. Thank you so, so much. And thank you again for the really kind donation. You rock, bro. Thank you. And you take good care, bro. I think Randy was incredibly, incredibly focused. And he worked so hard on his technique. The thing that makes me really proud of him is the fact that even when he was in Ozzy's band, and even when he was in Quiet Riot, he was still going and seeking classical guitar lessons, which just says that he is absolutely amazing. The fact that Ozzy's still alive only proves he is superhuman. Kind of a Keith Richards. Yeah, you're right there. I wonder if today there have been some sort of corporate manslaughter case. Well, it is suggested that Aycock was trying to kill his ex-girlfriend who was in the bus. But there we go. Phil thanking Jason for his kindness, and I will again. The level of focus Randy had is beyond any of ours. He wouldn't be in an internet chat room. I bet he'd be practicing. Probably we should be. Did I catch Pete Thorne's third guitar video? No, I didn't, but I will check it out. Thanks, Sean. Thank you so much. I will check that one out. Okie dokie. I have 2 more videos and only 8 minutes. Okay, let's dive into the new Randy Rhoads documentary. Here we go.
Rhoads, Reflections of a Guitar Icon, a new documentary about legendary guitarist Randy Rhoads, best known for his work with Ozzy Osbourne, will be available on video on demand on Friday, May 6. The 85-minute film was directed by Andre Relis and was narrated by L.A. Guns guitarist Tracy Guns. It was written and edited by Michael Brunning. Randy Rhoads, Reflections of a Guitar Icon, includes interviews with Randy's mother Dolores Rhoads, brother Kel Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen, Rudy Sarzo, Quiet Riot, Frankie Banali, Quiet Riot, Joel Hoekstra, Whitesnake, Bruce Kulick, Kiss, Doug Aldrich, Whitesnake, Dio, Gary Moore, Dweezil Zappa, George Lynch, Dokken and Ozzy Osbourne. A new clip from the film has been released which contains archive audio of Rhoads discussing the making of Osbourne's debut solo album, Blizzard of Oz. Rhoads and 2 others were killed on March 19, 1982 when the small plane they were flying in at Flying Baron Estates in Leesburg, Florida struck Osbourne's tour bus, then crashed into a mansion. Rhoads was 25 years old. In his biography, The 9 Lives of Ozzy Osbourne, Special, Ozzy stated about first meeting Rhoads after his departure from Black Sabbath. I knew instinctively that he was something extra special. He was like a gift from God, we worked so well together. Randy and I were like a team. One thing that he gave to me was hope. He gave me a reason for carrying on, Ozzy added. He had patience with me, which was great. He was great to work with. He pulled the best out of me. We had a lot of fun. Rhoads' death had a tremendous impact on Osbourne's life. I lost a dear friend in my life. I miss him terribly, Ozzy said. I just bathed my wounds with alcohol and drugs. The day that Randy Rhoads died was the day a part of me died, he added. Last October, Randy was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame during the 2021 ceremony. Rhoads received the Musical Excellence Award at last year's event, which was held on October 30th at Cleveland, Ohio's Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. The Musical Excellence Award is given to artists, musicians, songwriters and producers whose originality and influence creating music have had a dramatic impact on music. Rhoads was inducted into the Rock Hall by Morello, who stated in a video message, "Randy Rhoads is a peerless talent. He revived Ozzy Osbourne's career as his gunslinger sideman. And it was Randy Rhoads' poster that I had on my wall. You could study Randy songs in a university-level musicology class and bang your heads to them in a 7-Eleven parking lot." Also offering a video tribute was Metallica's Kirk Hammett, who stated about Randy's death, "All of a sudden, the curtain came down unexpectedly and the show was over before it really got going." Wild spoke highly about his predecessor, saying, "Randy, hands down, sits at the round table of greatness in the Hall of Fame alongside Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton and Eddie Van Halen." Rhoads played on Osbourne's seminal records, Blizzard of Oz, 1980 and Diary of a Madman, influenced many musicians and is considered one of the greatest guitarists of all time. His death was a huge shock to the world and Ozzy wrote in his autobiography, I Am Ozzy, that he almost quit music after Randy's passing. Shortly after Rhoads' induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was announced, Ozzy told Rolling Stone, "I knew him for a very short amount of time. But what he gave me in that short amount of time was immeasurable in effing greatness. To get somebody like Randy Rhoads to play on 2 albums, and for those 2 albums to sound as good as the day they were recorded, is something else. And I'm forever in gratitude for that. God only knows where that man would be today. The very fact that he's not here to breathe the air is just a effing crime. Thank God that he's getting recognized by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He finally got there in the end. I'm sad that his mother was not alive to see it, because he was very close to his mom. It shows that he's not been forgotten. He was a dedicated, true musician, and he was a lovely guy. I still think about him all the time." Rhoads spent his late teens and his 20s in the California music scene. Andre was heavily inspired by metal bands such as Quiet Riot and Ozzy Osbourne. Randy always stuck out to Andre as one of the greats and inspired him to become the frontman of a touring punk band, Rubberneck. After years of touring, Andre transitioned into television and film production in the early 2000s. From that point on, Andre has been at the forefront of feature film and distribution for the last 20 years and in 2010 he founded VMI Worldwide, a Hollywood-based finance, production and distribution company which he runs today. Most recently, some of the more notable films Rhoads produced include The Last Son, with Sam Worthington and Machine Gun Kelly, Wander, starring Tommy Lee Jones and Aaron Eckhart, Arkansas, starring Vince Vaughn and Liam Hemsworth, and Grand Isle, starring Nicolas Cage and Kelsey Grammer. And on the directing side, Rhoads co-directed the 2016 feature documentary, NWA and Eazy-E, Kings of Compton, which was released by E1 Entertainment in North America.
Okay, I was fortunate enough to meet Rudy Sarto in Nam, and I had a lovely photo taken with him. Grumpy Mike, thank you so much, brother. Let me give you one of these. That is incredibly kind, as always, my brother, for the wellness stroke tone jar, and why not? Just wanted to remind everyone to check out CGS on Patreon. Thank you so much. And actually, I just saw John Robson appear. We mentioned you earlier, mate. very kindly, John has done a video to one of my backing tracks. It was released today, so as I said earlier, after this video, go and check out John Robson's channel and his guitar solo. There will be a video coming up from my channel about it, and also a little bit from the Lamb as well. So I have put the links to the tabs in the video links. Look, we have only got, there we are. It's an hour, but I am going to play you the very last video, which is about a new book on Randy Rhoads. Here we go.
Rhoads book celebrates the life and legacy of the legendary Ozzy Osbourne guitarist. The 280-page Ross Halfin tome features an array of unseen images and features, as well as an exclusive introduction and epilogue penned by Osbourne and Tom Morello. Rufus Publications has revealed the latest addition to its collection of electric guitar star-based books, Randy Rhoads by Ross Halfin, an extensive collection of photos and features that seeks to celebrate the life and legacy of the late Ozzy Osbourne guitarist. Rhoads joined forces with Osbourne at the end of 1979, and played a pivotal part in both helping the former Black Sabbath frontman launch the next stage of his career and redefining the metal scene of the early 80s. In 1982, the Quiet Riot guitarist tragically passed away at the age of 25 following a plane crash incident. According to Rufus Publications, Randy Rhoads by Ross Halfin celebrates his time with Randy and Ozzy Osbourne both on stage and off with hundreds of beautiful, largely unseen images from those early years. The generously sized feature-packed book measures 240mm by 340mm, and boasts 280 pages of celebratory content, as well as an introduction written by Osbourne and an epilogue penned by Rhoads fan Tom Morello. "It's weird, I only knew Randy for a couple of years, but it felt much longer. I felt like I knew him for my whole life," said Osbourne. "I still think about him a lot, what he would be doing now. I owe him a huge amount, he was the beginning of me. He wasn't just my guitarist, he was my friend," continues the Black Sabbath legend. Upon its release, the book will be available in 3 editions: the standard book, which features the volume and a cloth slim case, as well as a deluxe signed leather edition and super deluxe edition. While both sport the signatures of Ozzy Osbourne and Ross Halfin, the former features a blue leather cover and white leather slipcase. The latter edition boasts a larger 297mm by 420mm measurement, and flashes a blue leather cover, blue slipcase and outer presentation box with 3 numbered giclée prints. Randy Rhoads by Ross Halfin will be available to pre-order on May 12 and ships at the end of August.
Okie dokie, there we go. So there is a new documentary and a new book out on Randy Rhoads, which I thought you would be really interested in. Thank you so much. That was so kind, Papa Blue. I am glad it's a fun channel. Obviously, I always say we're not going to go past an hour. Every single time I do one of these tribute shows to a guitarist, it seems to go past the hour. But I would just like to say thank you to everyone that's hung out tonight, and I will see you very soon. But in the meantime, guys, you take very good care.